Tracy Matisak. Welcome to Inspiring Excellence. I'll be your host today, and over the next hour, you are going to hear some amazing stories that honor the resilience of small to mid-sized businesses and their contributions to our communities and to our economy. You know, it's been more than 35 years now that the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia has been recognizing the vision and innovation and achievements of small to mid-sized businesses through the Excellence Awards. But like the companies that we're spotlighting today, we've been inspired to make a change in light of the pandemic and the ongoing quest for racial and social justice. So this year, we bring you Inspiring Excellence. It is a virtual event that will shine the spotlight on the differences that so many small and mid-sized businesses have made during these unprecedented times. Now, as you might imagine, the Chamber of Commerce received lots of applications for this, and it was pretty difficult to narrow it down to just 10. And in fact, if you would like to see all of the stories that were nominated, you can find them in the program book. It is on the homepage for the event. There will also be a link in the chat box, which, by the way, we encourage you to use. We want you to use that chat box so that you can communicate with each other and with us throughout the event. So please do be sure to be part of the conversation. So with all that said, it is my great pleasure to welcome the President and CEO for the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia, Rob Wunderling. And of course, Rob has many responsibilities as the head of the Chamber of Commerce. He leads the Chamber's work to promote growth and economic development for the 11-county Greater Philadelphia region. Rob also works to promote business-friendly public policy and to provide support for member organizations through inspiring, informative events like the one that we're part of today. So, Rob, it's so good to see you again. Welcome.
Well, Tracy, it really is great to see you again. We have been partners in a number of chamber events, in-person events, and the fact that we are now gathering in a hybrid and virtual environment with this really special occasion today, and the fact that you've joined us today makes it even more special. So thank you for taking the time to be part of our Excellence Awards.
Yeah, well, it's an honor, Rob. And, you know, I've been thinking about what a difficult year this has been for everyone and the Chamber as well. And yet through all of that, the Chamber has continued to provide leadership in spite of everything. In fact, one program that really stands out is the Recharge and Recover PHL initiative. What is that exactly?
Well, really, it is, in many respects, our future. And we're in a very fragile state right now. As we celebrate excellence today, we are also still battling an unseen, insidious virus in COVID-19. And so a number of months ago and over the summer, we gathered about 160 business and civic leaders. We engaged and had the support of the governor of the Commonwealth and the political and public leadership of our counties in Bucks, Montgomery, and Chester and Delaware counties. And of course, our mayor and president of city council really felt it was important for us to design and begin to implement an economic recovery plan for our city and our region. And it's underway. There's a lot of work. We have lost in this region about 8.1% of total gross domestic product since the outbreak of the pandemic last spring. It'll be a long road to recovery, but we are very, very optimistic that we can accelerate that recovery in a true public-private partnership, but fundamentally because of a word you cited a moment ago, and that's resiliency. And what has been really amazing for us to see in service to all of our members and to the business community over the last several months is the resiliency of our business community, and in particular, our small and mid-sized enterprises, helping each other, literally keeping each other in business, working and lending a hand through free enterprise, and then extending that hand of charity and philanthropy into communities, into family. And that's what it takes. That's kind of resilient ethos that I know, and I speak for a whole lot of folks that have this optimism that we can recharge and recover. And what we're excited about today is that resiliency is combined with a heck of a lot of inspiration.
Yeah. The business community certainly has rallied around this initiative, Rob, as well as around this event.
Well, for sure. And as we always say, and particularly for today and today's format, we really do want to give a huge shout out and extend our appreciation for those sponsors that have made this event possible today.
There's quite a number of them, and you saw some of the names up on the screen, but we've got Comcast Business, Customers Bank, Fulton Bank, Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses, MBA, PIDC, PNC Bank, TD Bank, Univest Bank, of course, our media partner, WHYY. We've got supporting organizations, Advanced Staging Productions, Plaza Flowers, Chad's Ford Winery, just a ton of great sponsors, Rob.
Absolutely. And we ask our participants today to do business with our sponsors and to continue to do business with each other. That's the ethos of being a member of our Chamber of Commerce. And in particular for this event, these sponsors have been with us for months now. And you mentioned that this is a prestigious honor. We're going to recognize 10 organizations momentarily. There are countless number of organizations that were nominated for this, and the work of our sponsors and our leader, Keith Baldwin, has made really what we're about to view entirely possible. I really want to thank Keith. Keith, you have co-chaired or chaired our Excellence Awards activities over a couple cycles now, and you have the right tact and diplomacy to navigate passions in a closed environment, because it's a hard job to pick just 10 out of many that are really, truly inspiring and excellent businesses and organizations in our community.
Well, hello there, Keith. We've got Keith online with us. We're delighted to have you, Keith. So it sounds like from what Rob was saying, the committee has had to change course as well.
Great to be here. And yes, this process normally starts in January, and it usually ends in June, as you can imagine. As we started to go through the challenges that this year brought, we decided to change course. It just didn't seem relevant with what we were doing. And we reached out to the group and got a lot of feedback, and we changed course. The favorite word in this year is pivot. So this group pivoted, and they pivoted to, as you will see, these inspiring stories. And I want to thank everybody on the committee that helped us go through these nominations, many nominations, to select the honorees.
And Keith, you've got a pretty amazing story yourself, I understand.
Yeah, we were challenged to pivot early on. If you think about my business, I'm the awards business, and there were no events, or they were all canceled, and so my business went away. And early on, we were able to, fortunately, through some relationships, we turned ourselves into a call center, calling to set up COVID test appointments for New York City when they were in the heart of it, and we continue to do that today, helping with unemployment calls. And we replaced our normal sales with PPE sales. And unfortunately, as this has dragged on, we've also taken over a number of competitors. So, and the reason I'm overdressed today is I had to pivot one more time this week, as 30% of my skeleton staff has tested positive. And I've got a number of people home, quarantined, and so I'm building trophies and delivering trophies. And so sorry for my dress. So, yes, it's been a challenging year.
That's resiliency.
It is, absolutely. And Keith, thank you so much for all that you've done, and all the best to your employees. This is just, as we said, an unprecedented time, and we just wish the best to them and to all of us who are figuring out new ways to cope throughout the situation. So, as you can see from what Keith was talking about, today is really not so much, Rob, about winning, but about demonstrating that resiliency that we've been talking about of the small and mid-sized company, and sharing stories that we hope will inspire you today. And in fact, we want to engage our viewers here, Rob, and have them put a little skin in the game. In fact, you'll notice that there is a polling feature on the website. That is for our Viewers' Choice honoree. So you can vote for your favorite, most inspiring story there. And you want to do that because the winning organization gets to designate $2,500 to the nonprofit local organization of their choice, whose work supports initiatives that are consistent with the goals of the Chamber's regional foundation supporting inclusive growth. So you want to pay attention to the stories and cast your vote. And with that said, what do you say we hear some inspiring stories?
Small businesses represent the majority of all business establishments in the United States, as well as the Philadelphia region, creating the majority of jobs for our neighbors and friends. They contribute to the local economy and weave the civic fabric of our towns and cities, adding to the tax base and promoting market diversity. They are, however, also the segment hit hardest during the pandemic.
Goldman Sachs, 10,000 Small Businesses, we love entrepreneurs. Under COVID-19, we have seen their resiliency, creativity, and determination, and none more so than at Disc Makers. Seeing a 70% revenue drop at the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, Disc Makers quickly shifted to save their company and their employees, and also made a critical contribution to the community. They manufactured and shipped over 1 million face shields. The company committed to 0 layoffs and hired 50 additional local temp staff to aid with hand assembly of their products.
Throughout the months following the first case of COVID-19 in Greater Philadelphia, TML Communications supported various initiatives to keep our region moving, including a partnership with the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office to conduct free food and produce giveaways, offering complimentary dinners to workers at Chestnut Hill Hospital, and helping nonprofits with a mission to support social justice. Teresa, at Customers Bank, we're very proud of you. Thanks for everything you and your team do for our community.
I have had the privilege of serving on this committee for over 2 decades and have had the opportunity to meet many amazing entrepreneurs. I have never been more impressed and inspired than with Michelle Leff and 12th Street Catering. Their ability to pivot has been nothing less than amazing. Back in March, just when the staff at 12th Street Catering donated the last of their food and were about to turn the lights off, they received a call from a client who proposed a plan to feed local frontline workers. 6,000 meals a week for 15 weeks. The company has expanded their charitable work to new initiatives, all while keeping the lights on and employees hired.
After the shutdown of the city, NextFab leaders supported the creation of Cover Aid PHL to increase the supply of needed personal protective equipment. The company pivoted normal operations to begin creating PPE for local healthcare organizations, as well as supported startups in creating a rapid disinfection system to sanitize PPE. Comcast Business is thrilled to sponsor NextFab for inspiring excellence. We had the pleasure of speaking with Matt recently from NextFab, and the work the organization has done this year has been nothing short of excellent.
And now we are delighted to welcome Matt Bell, Director of Contract Services for NextFab, Michelle Leff, Principal of 12th Street Catering, Teresa Lundy, Principal TML Communications, and Tony Von Veen, CEO of Disc Makers. I want to welcome all of you, and just in the interests of time, to warn you that we've got lots of ground to cover. So I've got a quick question for each of you. I'm going to ask you to be as brief as possible so we can get through everything before our time is up. But Teresa, let me begin with you. Can you talk with us a little bit about the work that you are doing to reform the criminal justice system, and specifically the work that you've been doing with Meek Mill?
Thank you so much. But Inbound Communications has been on the front line of criminal justice and social advocacy since the beginning. And I believe that we were able to connect causes with community. We turned out crowds for rallies to fight for reform. and provided communication support to help reform measures to gain traction, funding, and most importantly, supporters of the cause. So we have worked on local and statewide initiatives to ensure that the rights of individuals are vindicated in our court system that ultimately leads to results. So we've been doing this since the beginning, and we don't plan on stopping.
Hugely important work, especially in the times that we're living in. Matt, I want to go to you. Can you talk to us a little bit about NextFab and how you pivoted to create masks and PPE? And I'm thinking particularly of the origami face mask. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely, Tracy. So NextFab is a network of membership-based maker spaces. So we're an in-person business, and we had to shut down operations in March, like many other businesses. So we quickly pivoted to try to help out with the PPE shortages that was becoming really apparent. So around that time, one of a partner company who we've worked with before came to us with a novel design for a face mask based, an origami-based face mask that can get a nice tight fit and could be a good alternative for healthcare providers if there's a shortage of traditional medical masks. So our company and my colleagues at NextFab jumped right in, getting under an exemption from Governor Wolf, and we're able to ultimately design, build, test, and produce.
I think we're having a little bit of a technical issue, so we will, all right, there's Matt. All right, I'm going to move on in the interests of time to Michelle. And Matt, thank you for the great work that you have done and for all that you're doing for our frontline workers and all of us who are needing to wear masks these days. Michelle, like many businesses, yours faced the prospect of going out of business. Can you talk a little bit about the partnerships that you formed to keep that from happening?
We have been extremely fortunate. We've been in business for 38 years and never saw anything quite like it, as I'm sure all of us have felt that switch when things went quiet. We have a client, United States Liability Insurance Group. Tom Nerney and his team immediately stepped up and challenged us to see if we could reach out, be the frontline medical heroes, and to do it on a regular basis. And we were proud and happy to do it. We did that for as about 15 weeks. And in addition, so many of our terrific clients reached out. How could they support us? Could we buy dinner for them, make food, whatever we could do, we were happy to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. What a great story. I want to finish up this segment by talking with Tony from Disc Makers. And Tony, your company also had to pivot and you were making some PPE. Can you talk about how you were able to navigate that pivot?
Well, literally our survival was at stake. You know, we sell CDs to artists who sell them at concerts. We sell books to authors who sell them at public speaking events and at book signings. And that was all shut down. And so we were literally in the process of planning, you know, a layoff of maybe 40% of our staff when my wife actually challenged me, hey, Tony, look at all the needs that are out there for PPE. Can't you guys make something? You guys make stuff. And so very quickly I got my procurement team, my manufacturing engineering team, my packaging, my print guys all together, like literally the next day, figuring out how can we do this? How can we make face shields? And you know, what supplies do we need? What kind of manufacturing stations do we need? And then we actually had our staff bring in their own 6-foot picnic tables from home to start assembly and literally within a couple of days, you know, with survival at stake. And our staff knew this was dire from watching the news and, you know, from me communicating with them what was happening. And so, you know, they quickly came in and with distancing, with sanitizing, with even today, wearing 2 layers of PPE in our factory, in our offices, face shield and mask, you know, they came in and it was just, you know, motivating to come to work and actually, you know, help do something good.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I want to thank and to congratulate all of you for your creativity and agility in a time like this. Thank you all so much. We want to move forward now and hear about some middle market companies.
While middle market companies make up just 1% of Greater Philadelphia's businesses, they employ 20% of the region's workers, one of the most robust middle market communities in the country. Businesses in the Greater Philadelphia with revenues between $10 million and $1 billion are critical to our economic vitality. Like all businesses, middle market companies have faced challenges this year, but they continue to invest in their most valuable asset, their talent.
High Street Hospitality Group has been a client for PIDC for several years, and they continue to play a key role in feeding the underserved Philadelphia community, an effort they only increased by the effects of COVID-19. High Street has spearheaded the Fuel the Fight campaign by providing meals from local restaurants for healthcare workers. Also acknowledging the disproportionate effect of COVID-19 on hospitality workers, High Street Hospitality Group took their efforts a step further by teaming up with local nonprofits to offer free mental health resources to industry workers.
When I heard Aardvark Mobile Tour's story, I knew our organization should support them as an honoree for this award. In an effort to keep the business afloat while continuing to make an impact in the community, Aardvark Mobile Tours transformed their touring vehicles into mobile COVID testing trucks. The new mobile infrastructure instantly improved the testing experience and accessibility for our region, especially in marginalized communities. The vehicles can quickly be modified to administer vaccines, provide mobile laboratory space, screening facilities, and much more. Please join me in congratulating Aardvark Mobile Tours.
As soon as COVID hit our region, the Rodon Group first and foremost developed processes and guidelines to keep their employees and their employees' families safe. But they didn't stop there. The company used their own resources to design and develop new testing swabs for local hospitals, manufacturing over 1 million swabs per week, and planning to donate to local hospitals for the next 5 years.
As the Excellence Award Committee Chair, I'm proud to present underwriting management experts for their accomplishments. Since the beginning of the pandemic, UME and their team has given back to the community and has put social justice at the forefront. Recently, they embarked on a charitable mission to create a foundation to expand their giving commitments and to offer new leadership and commitment roles for their staff and to empower and financially contribute to the local community. Congratulations, UME, on a job well done.
And once again, we've got the leaders of those organizations with us. I want to begin with Michael Ariton. Michael, you are president and CEO of the Rodon Group. And I want to start with you, since your company had to bring workers back early in the pandemic to run operation. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the internal team that you created to help ensure the safety of employees and how that affected the culture in your organization.
Sure, it's great to be here. As a 24/7 manufacturer, the first thing we did was create a cross-functional COVID-19 task force. It had people from HR, from operations, finance, from every functional part of the organization, a team of about 9 people that met hourly in the first parts of the pandemic and then ultimately met daily, and then now we're able to only meet weekly because we got systems in place. And what it really did is we took our process-oriented culture, where we're doing such precision manufacturing that we're used to making things and making sure that every piece of the process works, and saying, what's the process to ultimately protect our people, and then how can we help the broader community? So we started with, what does it look like from the best practices to protect our people? What does PPE look like? How do we get masks? How do we get face shields? How do we get cleaning equipment? We quickly, for example, went to our janitorial service and said, we want to pay you more to come in more. And that helped them because they were able to then go out and get supplies really quickly, as an example. So once we took care of our people, then we said, how can we help the community, which is what led to, fortunately, I have a brilliant wife who's our chief strategy officer. She said, we got to go make more testing swabs because people can't figure out if they're healthy or not, can't get tested, and can't go get taken care of. So then we jumped on the swabs. And so I know we're limited on time, but I just want to say that it's been an amazing journey so far. We have an amazing team at Rodon, and I'm so proud to be part of this community and this day's events.
Well, Michael, thank you so much, and thank you for the work that you have done. I want to go next to Anne-Marie Chapman, founder and CEO of Underwriting Management Experts. Anne-Marie, can you talk to us a bit about the foundation Underwriting Management Experts created to further its philanthropic impact, and then how you decided that a foundation was the best avenue for this kind of work?
Well, thank you for having me. Well, we came up with Foundation because we are an insurance industry service, and on a regular basis for as long as I could, I've spent a lot of time, fundraising and personally, putting our times into diagnoses that affect people, their mental health, and things like that. And so we had raised so much money, we thought, we should probably put together a foundation so that other people who can't find a way to either give time or money that we knew could come and join us in our fight to feed the homeless, to help the veterans, and things that are very close to our beliefs and hopes for people. Sorry, it's much easier to do it than to talk to you.
No doubt. Well, you have done a great work. Thank you so much for all that you have done. Want to move forward and talk with Ellen Yin now, founder and co-owner of High Street Hospitality Group. Ellen, hello. We'd love for you to talk about the Fuel the Fight campaign and how that was implemented.
Well, thank you so much, Tracy. It's an honor to be here, and we are so thankful for all the support from the community over the past 6 months. It's been a very challenging period of time for the hospitality industry. So Fuel the Fight came to us because one of my former managers is a Penn employee, and she thought that it was so essential to keep the spirits of frontline workers up as they faced increasing COVID cases. And she introduced us to Fuel the Fight, which is an organization that partners with Frontline Foods and World Central Kitchen, which is a nonprofit organization created by Jose Andres, an incredible humanitarian. And that allowed us to help raise money and in exchange, keep our team employed by creating meals for over 10,000 hospital workers throughout the Philadelphia region.
Wow, talk about creativity. Incredible. Ellen, thank you so much. And finally, Larry Borden, you are the founder and CEO of Aardvark Mobile Tours. What led you to take the company in this particular direction at this time?
Hi, well, thanks, Tracy, for having us. Very excited to be here and be a part of this amazing group of entrepreneurs in the Philly area. We were dead in the water. We are in the event marketing industry. We rely on groups of people, and everything shut down. And so one morning I was looking on my cell phone and I saw that in Israel, they were making shipping containers and plopping them all over Israel in neighborhoods to do testing. And I thought it was a great idea. And we have some vehicles and we decided to retrofit those vehicles. We then took it a step further. We're now building custom vehicles that are specific for testing. They have positive and negative pressure. They're CLIA certifiable to biosafety level 2. And now we have them deployed all over the country, and we're taking orders all over the world right now.
Wow. And that has never been more important than at this moment with the incredible need for testing. Larry, thank you so much. And thank you
My
to
pleasure.
all of you, and congratulations to all of you. Hey, I want to remind our viewers about the Viewer's Choice honoree. So make sure that you're paying attention to these stories and casting your votes. Next, let's take a look at some nonprofits.
Nonprofits are well known for the tremendous charitable impact they have on our communities, so much so that their economic impact is often overlooked. They comprise 15% of Pennsylvania's workforce, enable an even greater percentage to work, enhance our region's attractiveness to employers and tourists, all in service to others while bolstering our economic activity. Nonprofits have been on the front lines during this pandemic, finding new ways to serve our communities.
The Enterprise Center is a long-term partner of PNC in the community and a valued client. They're a Black-led organization with a mission to cultivate and invest in minority entrepreneurs to inspire working together for economic growth in communities. Over the last 6 months, the Enterprise Center assisted businesses with applying for COVID-19 loans and creating recovery plans by providing access to healthy food for communities and office supplies for businesses in need.
I'd like to congratulate Self Inc. on this year's Inspiring Excellence story. As an emergency and temporary housing provider operating 24 hours a day, 365 days per year, pandemic or not, Self recognized the importance of keeping both its participants and team members safe. The organization immediately reworked their business operations and made several recommendations directly to city leaders to ensure the safety of Philadelphia's most vulnerable citizens. In my interactions with the organization's president and COO, Mike Hinson, the energy and enthusiasm he has for Self's mission was palpable. He and his Self colleagues have been on the front lines during the COVID pandemic, leading efforts with its funding partners, fellow providers, and advocates to help ensure the safety of sheltered and unsheltered Philadelphians experiencing homelessness.
Well, we are fortunate to have leaders of those nonprofits with us. Michael Hinson is the president and chief operating officer of Self Inc., and Victoria Hosendorf is executive vice president of the Enterprise Center. Victoria, I'd like to begin with you. If you could briefly tell us about the COVID-19 Resiliency Fund that the Enterprise Center created and how that's helping minority-owned businesses during the pandemic.
Thank you, Tracy. It's glad to be here, and congratulations to you all the other award winners. The Enterprise Center had worked on making sure that we were able to provide tons of resources to businesses in the Philadelphia region, making sure that they had access to capital. And one of the main things that we wanted to do was we realized when COVID-19 hit that a lot of our companies were not able to receive capital from the local banks and even some banks that they had banking relationships with. The Enterprise Center was able to get approved as a Paychex Protection program lender, and we was able to help minority entrepreneurs to actually fill out their application and be able to get the well-needed capital that they needed to grow their businesses. So we were able to provide 166 PPP loans in the area that we are excited about.
Wow, that is hugely important because that probably made the difference between survival or not for a lot of those businesses. Victoria, thank you so much for undertaking that work, and congratulations to you. Also want to talk with Michael. Michael, can you talk to us a little bit about the steps that Self Inc. has taken during the pandemic to ensure the safety of Philadelphia's homeless citizens?
Thank you, Tracy, and congratulations to all of the other honorees today. As you know, Self is the largest provider of homeless services for single adults in the city of Philadelphia. So we provide emergency housing for a large number of folks who live in our 9 different sites. And prior to when COVID hit, we understood the enormous responsibility that we had to keep those individuals safe who live in our programs, but also to keep our team members safe, but also to connect the communities where we're located. And so we worked with about 30 other providers to come up with different kinds of mitigation plans, different kinds of reporting systems that we could then send to the city and advocate to the city that they also adopt. And one of the big adoptions that the city took from our advocacy was the opening of the prevention site for individuals who are 60 or older or who have underlying health conditions who live in shelter locations, because those individuals are more likely to get sick and be sicker if they were to get COVID. And so we're very happy to work along with our partners at the Urban Affairs Coalition and other providers around the city to make those recommendations and to see that those recommendations actually came to fruition to help keep not just our participants safe, but all of the connected communities where we serve people.
Wow. Well, thank you, Michael. And that certainly made a huge difference, I would think, for Philadelphia's most vulnerable citizens at such a critical time. So thank you and congratulations to you and to your organization.
Thank you so much.
I want to remind everyone about the viewer's choice. So you want to be listening to those stories. We've presented a bunch of them, and we'd love for you to cast your vote. It's important because, of course, the winner of that gets to designate $2,500 to a nonprofit. So you want to be sure to participate in that. At this time, I would like to bring all of our honorees back so that we can talk for just a couple more minutes before we close out our conversation here. But over the last several months, I'm curious to know, what is the most important lesson that you have learned in leading a small to mid-sized business? And Michelle Leff, I'd like you to take that question.
Well, I think the thing that has been the most gratifying when I look back at this period is that I am surrounded with a team of incredible human beings, and faced with the option of closing the doors or stepping up and doing things that are different or out of our comfort zone, everybody raised their hands, looked out for each other. And I think that by trusting the power of my team, we've been able to do some pretty amazing things. And so I'm really grateful.
Yeah. Michael Ayrton, what advice would you have for other small to mid-sized businesses that will help them out as they're continuing to try to operate during these unprecedented times?
Yeah, I think I boil it down to three principles. It's stay curious, stay kind, and stay focused. In the realm of uncertainty in which we live, and I think Einstein said it best, in the midst of difficulty lies opportunity. And there's a ton of opportunity to help our community and help our businesses at the same time. And so I think if you focus that with an underlying theme of being kind to your fellow Philadelphia and your fellow people in our region, and how can you help, then it also helps your business at the same time. And so I think then once you do that, focus in on your few things. I don't think you have time to do a lot of things as a mid-sized business. Focus in on one or two things, and then just dive in full force into them and make it happen.
All right. Excellent advice indeed. And Michael Henson, you certainly have been through a lot over the last 8 or 9 months. Talk to us about what inspires you.
So, we hear a lot about resiliency. And resiliency is a very important step to be recognized, by individuals who are currently unhoused, or even those who are temporarily housed, right? But I really like to think about the inspiration, the audacity of individuals who are experiencing homelessness to say that I want to transform my life even at a time like this, right? And so what really inspires me is that there was this one particular person in one of our sites who had signed up for the PHL diversity training project at the airport, and it was before COVID hit. And then once COVID hit, they had to change the whole format around how they were going to do this certification program, which required them, to go to classes for 9 months and go to the airport and all of those things. And then when COVID hit, that had to shift. And he came to us and he said, "There's no way I don't want to. I want to continue to commit to this program. I want this certification." He was living in one of our homeless sites, and we together worked with him to figure out how he was going to continue with this program, giving him access to computer systems inside one of our homeless sites, having him have extra access to his case manager so that he had all the other supports that he could that he needed. And he completed that program, and he did really well with that program. And now he's certified, through that through the airport program. And that's the inspiration, right? It's the audacity to know that you can do better, and you have to figure out, even when you're challenged, how you're actually going to do that. And with the supports that our team has available to provide, we were able to support him and all of our participants who continue to strive for that kind of transformation.
Wow. Well, that is inspiration indeed. And I know that each and every one of you, and the way that you have led your organizations through this incredibly difficult time, serves as an inspiration for all of us. And we're certainly all hopeful that we are nearing the end of this. I know that it will get worse before it gets better, but you all are to be congratulated and honored for the great work you've done, for the creativity you've shown, the agility to be able to pivot in the way that you have. And we are so thankful for all the work that you've done and all the people that you have helped during this time. So with that said, we have been inviting our viewers to cast their vote for the Viewer's Choice honoree, and the winner is Underwriting Management Experts. That would be you, Anne Marie. Congratulations to Underwriting Management Experts, and that means that they will be able to designate $2,500 to a nonprofit of their choice. And let's have another round of applause. You can go ahead and unmute yourselves and give a round of applause to all of our honorees. Congratulations, Anne Marie. Well, that is wonderful, and that is exciting indeed. I want to congratulate again all of you for being an inspiration to all of us. Thank you so much for being part of this. Thanks to everyone who has joined us to hear all of these inspiring stories and helped us to choose the Viewer's Choice. Also want to just take a moment to again, recognize all of the supporters, the sponsors who have made this event possible. I want to thank all of you who have participated with us today. And of course, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia and their wonderful staff that have worked tirelessly to put this event together and to make Greater Philadelphia a great place to do business. Thank you all for being part of this. Have a safe and happy holiday season. Bye-bye.